Hey, are you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
So should I go ahead and hit the camera?
Wait, let me fix my hair.
Hey, it's looking pretty good. Let's roll it. Well, welcome. How are you guys doing? This is the post show. Thank you so much for joining me. It looks like we are live. I see Freddie in the house. I have a special guest, and I'm trying to remember where he is. So at what time he was going to join me.
What are you talking about?
Oh, hey, Ratso, what's happening? Guess what? We are on camera.
Where?
Right there. Can you see the people?
No, I can't see. I see us.
Yeah, that's us up on the monitor, but I'm talking about look right in there. Look very close. Closer. Closer. Get closer. I'm just kidding.
What?
No, you can't look at the people. They can see us, but we can't see them.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Hey, so I have a little bit of bone to pick with you. When you were here yesterday in the studio and you were looking at my book, remember my book? It's about Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that is a great look.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly what you said yesterday. I overheard you saying something about their costumes.
Well, yeah, those are stupid.
What do you mean they're stupid?
Well, they're just, have you seen the new Batman?
Well, there's a new Batman coming out, and it looks pretty cool. It's pretty dark. I liked it because it was kind of like a comic book.
A what?
A comic book. You haven't read a comic book?
Oh, yeah, the colored looks.
No, the comic book. A comic book is one of those things. It's got superheroes. It had the Archie. It had Batman and Robin. It had Iron Man. And I've watched Netflix. I guess I haven't watched those with you. Have
other than the trunk.
Yeah, you have been in the trunk. So, but I got you out of the trunk because people right there have asked for you to be on. Yeah, you can't see them, but they're in there.
This makes no sense.
I know it's live streaming. And if this was a Zoom call, then we could see them on the screen. But this is just you and I looking at them. And I apologize because I'm sure you'd like to know, because we see Freddie's here and we've got Tony here and they're right there. They can see you and they've been waiting to see you. So what do you want to say to them?
Well, yeah, what do I say? So you haven't subscribed.
No, that's not what I said. I said, ask them if they subscribe.
Hey, yeah, have you guys subscribed yet to the channel? We're trying to rank 1,000 people.
Trying to break 1,000, and you're kind of mumbling. It's not your voice isn't very clear.
What do you mean?
It's just like, I don't know. We years ago when we were talking, it was like you talked clearer. Oh, I'm rusty, and when I'm rusty, you're rusty.
Yeah.
But so the idea is for me not to let people see my lips move. I want them to see your lips move, not my lips move.
You're confusing.
Yeah, well, okay. So when my lips are moving, people are going to look at me. And when your lips are moving, they're going to look at you. And we want to hear you talk, but I have to do, it's just confusing.
This whole thing is confusing.
So how are you going to co-host with me with all this technology?
Can I push buttons?
You can push buttons, but you don't want to push buttons during the live stream. So, by the way, I think you need to go back and read more of the Batman book, the 1966 classic Batman book, and you need to read it and look at all of the special guests and all the famous actors that were on that in that book, because I think you'd learn something about the 1966 Batman, which kind of started lots of things for comics and the new superheroes. Do you like the new superheroes?
Yeah, I love Iron Man.
You love Iron Man? Cool. I like Iron Man too. So a lot of that started because of how famous that TV series was, even though a lot of people did not like that presentation of Batman and Robin. So what I would suggest is that I grab the book, you go back down into your little spot under my desk, and then you keep reading and try not to say anything when I'm live because, well, it'd be nice if you didn't say anything while I'm live because they'll hear you.
Okay, I'll do my best. Do I have to read?
Yes, you have to read. That's your assignment. I want us to have this to share with each other. I want you to get familiar with the 1966 Batmobile, the Batman and Robin.
Yeah, those uniforms are just...
Yeah, I understand it. They're not the greatest uniforms. again, there was not the greatest budget. They spent more money, obviously, in the Batcave and the Batmobile than they did on the uniforms. But you fall in love with it over time, just like, what are you wearing? Okay, careful. I know. I'm a Seattle fan. You are a Steelers fan?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, well, cool. Good for you. So we'll just leave it there. We're not going to talk football.
Go Steelers!
We're not going to talk football. So can you go down there, Ratso, and take care of reading that book? And then you can report back to me what you learned tonight.
Okay, see you guys.
So you're going to need this. Now remember, stay quiet.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, that's Ratso, and I am very rusty, and it's a cross of some of the other voices that I do, but I hope that you guys enjoy that, and I get some credit for having Ratso on the show. And we talked about the 1966 Batmobile and Batman and Robin, because that's just what the still image had in it, and I thought that was really cute. So anyway, for whatever it's worth, let's see, do I have, let me pop that still image up on the screen here real quick. So there it is. He says these costumes are horrible. I don't necessarily agree with that. I grew up with those costumes and I thought they're amazing. So the post show is really to be able to give you a little bit more behind the scenes. I am packing up tonight after the post show to go to Spokane, and because of my relationships with other people, my name came up in a meeting and they asked me to come up and look at their tech. And that's going to be exciting for me. I'm going to see what I can get permission to share with you in my live stream. Again, I don't want to embarrass anybody or bring up any names on the live without their blessing and the permission. So I'll be asking for all that tomorrow. I want to thank Tony for dropping in. Cajoling Technologies says, you did it. Yay. Oh my gosh, this is great. Thank you. So cute. Wow, David, I hope that's like, again, so ventriloquism, there was times where it was super popular and times where it wasn't. And so, and I also did some speaking to all age groups. And at one event, they only wanted me because I could bring the puppets. And I really had other things I really wanted to accomplish there. So again, I haven't really been doing ventriloquism for a number of years. I occasionally get the gang out for my grandkids, which is rare because I don't practice. I got a couple hours of practice in this week, still trying to figure out exactly where Ratso's voice is. Because again, I haven't used it. And I had a professional ventriloquist puppet that actually sold this recently to use for gear in the studio. And that went for about $1,000. And it was a high-end ventriloquist puppet with a beautiful case. And that went to a guy who wanted to start doing ventriloquism. And I'd rather have it being used than it sitting in a closet. And that ventriloquist puppet sat in the closet for years. Now, you may be asking, why aren't you using that talent? I don't know if you would ask that question or not, but I can just tell you it takes a lot of work. And I shared last week that it might be 10 hours for 5 to 15 minutes live, and writing scripts and really practicing things. And then if you've ever tried to say something with a P or a B in it or a Y in it without moving your lips, you'll get an idea how difficult a ventriloquism is. And also, the more you practice, the more your attention is towards the character. You're animating the character, and all of that's very difficult. But I can tell you, as a kid, when I was younger, and it still affects me as an adult, that I even get great joy out of seeing me with Ratso, because I just think he has just his face alone. He's got so much character. And again, I had him made specially out of Florida, actually. And there's a gal that worked with the Muppets and then started her own company. She's passed away now. Her daughter's running the company. It's called Matt Puppets. And so check them out. Their website's kind of archaic, but they still make puppets. And they made Peanut, the original Jeff Dunham Peanut, when he was younger. And since then, I think Jeff has those made either by himself or he makes them. And he does most all of his puppets. He even has a beautiful high-end 3D printer, and he prints out puppets. and tries them out and everything, all in his 3D printer, which is pretty incredible, down to the mouths and all that stuff. Obviously, eyes have to be made specifically for those puppets, and there's all kinds of mechanics, but believe it or not, Jeff knows how to do all of those mechanics, the raising eyebrows, the eyelids, the eyes going back and forth, self-centering eyes. I think he doesn't use it, but I think he even knows how to do the stick your tongue out effect. Back in the day of ventriloquism, they actually had puppets that spit. They had ears that went like this. And because of movies like Magic, some people are now afraid of puppets. And even my dog Zoe doesn't feel comfortable around Ratso. She's over at the next door neighbor's house, which happens to be family, because she was freaking out when I got met. She thinks Ratso's real, which is great in my opinion, but I didn't want to scare the living daylights out of her, so she's not in the post show with me tonight. So 2 things I wanted to talk about tonight in the post show, and then just answer questions, and they're short. One is, I would love to hear if anybody else has a knowledge of a large venue streaming from OBS, and if they have any tips or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out again to me through Life Journey Productions, studios.com. Again, Life's is 'S, Productions is with an S, so lifejourneyproductions.com. And my website there, go under contact, and you can email me. Some of you have already reached out to me that way. And that way you don't have to put your personal email in a chat and get spammed by anybody else. It'll be private if you send me that through my contact page. Again, if you know of anybody that's streaming like large venue multi-cameras from consoles into OBS, I would love to hear about that. Most people that I've been dealing with are streaming through web presenters or using the newer ATEMs. They have dedicated encoders and streaming engines, and I am running into some people that are using OBS. I've streamed from it in the past, but I'm just curious if you have any tips, and if you know any settings to just make sure everything syncs and you don't have any problems. And again, software streaming is always a concern, so I understand that, and I know that most of these people, I'm just trying to get them to get a web presenter or get an ATEM Extreme, ATEM Mini ISO, or a Extreme ISO, because of what you can do inside that piece of equipment. Now, if you're familiar with a web presenter, that's the second thing I want to talk about. I'm learning more and more about it. I'm actually thinking about bringing that into the studio, because a lot of people I'm running into are going, even Aaron Parecki goes from his ATEMs to a web presenter because he likes all the data on the screen. So if you're using a web presenter right now, HD, or the new 4K that they released recently, let me know. And if you're streaming in 4K, I would love to hear from you as well. So those are the 2 things I wanted to talk about. OBS for streaming, encoding, live, if you're using it or know anybody else or have any tips or tricks. And if you have a web presenter and you're using the HD or the Pro, the newer versions, please let me know. And I've been watching videos both with John Barker on Here to Record. Great channel, go check it out. Aaron Parecki on his channel under his name. I've been watching the videos that they have. Aaron Parecki has things time-stamped, and you can actually search on his website for certain topics. But again, I would love to get feedback from some of you. And if you think me getting a web presenter and bringing it into the studio and using it to stream and talking about it is something that you would like me to do. So let's talk about this post show. What would you like to see in the post show? And we know by last week's conversation, seeing Ratso and having him occasionally co-host is great. And let me just talk about that. It takes a lot of time to get ready. I want to make sure I'm getting other things ready for the show as well. So Ratso is going to be making some cameos, some appearances. I want to do some practice with him and do some routines. It'll always have to do with the world of live streaming, or if it's the post show, it might have to do with my studio, like making fun of Batman and Robin in their uniforms, things like that. But I always try to make sure that applies. So let me know if you like that and you want more of that. I will pepper that into the post show. I also want to go behind the scenes in my studio, in my garage. We're going to do a complete behind the scenes video for hitting 1,000 subscribers, and we're growing fast. This week, I think we've grown over 975, I think, as of tonight. I'll have to look, but that's exciting, and we won't be very far from breaking 1,000. I'm not going to make any decisions right away when we break 1,000, other than I am going to do that behind the scenes video and give people a tour. Now, Freddie requested something. Shout out to him. He requested that I do a diagram or show my studio. I'm going to be doing some of that, but as I go through the studio, it's very complicated. So I'm going to do a diagram later this week. I ran out of time, didn't have it ready for tonight. Sorry, Freddie. But I'm going to do a diagram like I've done before here on my channel. And I'm going to break down exactly how I have things wired right now, including my Rodecaster Pro, how I'm bringing audio into the ATEM Extreme ISO, how I use my ATEM Mini Pro still in my stream, and how I have more than just one item coming into each channel. And I use switchers for that. And I've talked about this before, but this is going to be a diagram of that. And then I'm going to make that available in the post show next week, have it full screen so you can capture the screen and you can take a look at that. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on that as well. I will tell you this, I am considering getting a 4 input, 4 out device instead of having all of these 2 in and 1 outs in my studio. So maybe 2 of those, and I haven't decided yet. It makes sense to do 4 in and 2 out because that's kind of how I have 4 inputs over here that go into, let me just show you again, being as we're talking about it. Let me go back into my camera here, shift over to this channel 3. So on that side of the studio, I have 2 HDMIs coming out, but there's 4 going in. And on this side of the studio, I have the same thing. And then to make things even more confusing, I have 2 more right here. This is the one that I set up so that I could bring the camera that I'm on into my HyperDeck. So if I was to switch that right now, I would go into channel 7 instead of, because that's where my HyperDeck's in. But again, I have those 2. So again, there is 2 HyperDecks going into one of those, and then I can put the HyperDeck right up here. This is the HD Plus SDI out because you can see all the data on the screen. If I switch that right now to this one, that's my other HyperDeck, and you can see there's nothing playing. But let's just go ahead and hit play, and then we'll hit it again to loop it. So now you can see that's my old HyperDeck, and then I can switch right back to, I'll show me about to push the button, but now I'm going to switch the screen. And now you can see what's left of my intro video right there because it just stops at the end of playing. So 2 switches on that side, 2 switches right there, 2 switches right there, and I'll just kind of show you looking at me. I also have in my drawer a spare in case I need it. And I also tried out this switch. So not a fan. It's actually an 8K switch, but I'm not a fan of that. So that's a little behind the scenes in the post show of those switches. So I'm really considering changing up things. So understand that in the diagram this week. That's the whole reason for that behind the scenes. So, okay. So let's just go through the chat here. Hello from Freddie, ready for the post. Thank you. Hello from Tony and Ratso, been waiting for this. Great. What's happening, Ratso? Hey, Ratso. Tony says hi.
Hey, tell him I said hi back.
Okay, just keep quiet down there. Hey, what page are you on? Yeah, but I can't see it from up here, so tell me what page. I can't hear you.
65.
Okay, 65. Well, he's on page 65. He's got a lot of pages to go, and it's hard to see down there. I apologize for no lack of light, but you have better eyes, bigger, better eyes than I do. So great that Ratso was with us tonight. Obviously, it was funny, so cute. That's from David. Funny from Conjoling. Ratso's greatest fan here on the channel, I think, at least based on comments. And thank you. I did do it. Love it. You make it look so easy. Yeah, it's not easy, Freddie, but thank you so much. I'm honored that you feel that way. You're ready. You're really good, Keith. Really enjoyed the skill. Yeah, and if I could hone it and get it back where it was, I was very, very, very schooled at ventriloquism. It was my passion as a kid. So let me just tell you a little bit about my history. I did artwork, and that's kind of led me to graphic design and video production and all that because I'm kind of a creative at heart. I made some of my own puppets, and I will bring those eventually in the post show. So the earlier puppets that I made, Rudy, who is a flower puppet, I bought the top part, but I made the whole pot. Benjamin C. Bear, which I've never replaced. Most of my puppets, I bought a modern version that's made by a professional company and transferred their personality to that. That's true with Grandpa Jones, who I stole part of his voice tonight for Ratso. And I also have Rudy, and then Benjamin C. Bear is still, Rudy and Benjamin are still old school. And then, like I said, I sold my wooden ventriloquist puppet. So I'll bring those into the post show at some point just so you guys can see it. And who knows, I may do another channel someday with ventriloquist tips. We'll see how that goes. Bravo from our new guest tonight, LTAK Allen. Thank you very much. Kevin Crawley, love it. Sup Ratso, I love that. What's up, Ratso? And let's see, some videos on the web presenter would be cool. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Tony. By the web presenter, thank you for that, Conjoined Technologies. Yeah, and I actually had to replace a big TV in my house, and Best Buy had a $500 certificate that comes with that TV. I think it's good, at least it looks like it's good. And I've used coupons from Best Buy before because you get points and they give you cash to spend. And I bought everything from DVDs to used it to help buy microphones, even bought chips with them before, and Coke Zeros, which I'm a fan of. And so I'm going to see if Best Buy has anything on their site. They do have a lot of DJI stuff. They have a lot of other stuff that they sell for streamers and even camera gear. But I'm really wanting to invest in things that are specifically live streaming. So those are techs I'm thinking at. If I can't get that, then I may use it for something else. I wanted to say this too. Roland just released 2 really cool products. I want to talk about them in the main show next week as well. So come back next week and we're going to talk about 2 new products that Roland's coming out with. I even reached out to Aaron Parecki and asked him in Twitter if he had seen the Roland switcher that they've announced, and he said he had. He's hoping to get his hands on. That's another item I want to bring in. I don't have model numbers or anything memorized, but go check that out on YouTube. And I will put a link in the notes tonight to the post show to a video that I watched, and I actually shared one earlier today with Freddie via email because we email back and forth. So Freddie's already seen it. And he sends me videos as well. And I'd love to get those from you if you see new products so I don't miss them. That's cool. Just connect with me again on lifejourneyproductions.com and then click on contact, and then I will reach out to you via email. Also, if you put a question in the comments later, I will answer those. So how the second hyperdeck works into the system, why have a second one? Great question, Freddie. So let's talk about that real quick. So when you have multiple hyperdecks, you can play video over video. If you look at my new series, I actually touched on that, where I could have, let's say I wanted to play a time-lapse video and then use my stinger over it to change camera angles. So for instance, right now, if I was, and I don't have this set up, so I'd have to be playing a video in my old hyperdeck, right? A nice big time-lapse of the sky behind my house, beautiful blue, or maybe boats going by in a time lapse, or maybe even a really cool slow-mo. And while that's playing on the screen, if I wanted to play my stinger, which is a video transparent graphic designed for me to cut between camera, whatever, that would be camera 7 and cutting back to like my camera right here. And if I had 3 hyperdecks, then I could cut from a video, stinger over it, cut to another video. And that would be almost, with a macro, you could probably switch clips real quick and get that cut behind the stinger, but it would probably have to be longer than 3 seconds. And most stingers in the industry are like 3 seconds or less because they're designed just to hide the cut. So if I run my stinger right now and I have, let's just cut to the desk. Let me fire back up. And no, I have not used that app yet to keep my 5D Mark III from timing out. So let me cut to that so you can see my desk. So I'm going to run my stinger, Freddie, which is a, actually, you know what we should do? Let me do this. Do I have, My macro is not using my second hyperdeck. No, I do not have, I apologize, I do not have a video in my hyperdeck mini, my original one. I was going to play a video on my original one, play the stinger in my hyperdeck, and then be able to cut to my desktop. But I'm just going to have to play the stinger, and you're going to have to pretend that this is a video because it's moving. So pretend this is playing on hyperdeck 1. I run my stinger, and then I do this cut right here. Here we go. Run. Cut to my desk. Run that stinger again. And cut back to me. All I'm doing is having what I want to cut to in the preview, and I have what I'm going to cut back to or cut away from in the program. And so I just run the stinger, which is in my downstream key, and it covers everything. Again, downstream keys, right, sit on top of every other layer. So in my studio, 8 inputs, media player, all those things, upstream keys, then the downstream keys. So downstream key 1 and 2 are a layer 2. So usually use your downstream keys for your stinger because you don't want to cover up, have it covered up by a different layer. And so it's designed to hide transitions. So usually you use a downstream key for that. I have 2. If you have a HyperDeck Mini or HyperDeck Mini Pro or Pro ISO, then you probably only have one, where you only have one upstream key and one downstream key. So upstream keys usually can be tied to different inputs. So let's say I always want to use this stinger when I'm on the screen with this camera angle, then I can just simply tie that. I'll show you how you tie it here real quick. Let's go to me and a desktop, but let's change to the software on my desktop. Got to invent a faster way to do this. Okay, macro, me and my desktop. So the way you tie a key is these buttons right here. So this is my my logo, on, off, and you can see it right up here. Now, if I tie it to this channel and have it on right now, if I make a cut, and so what do I have ready here? My desktop, let's make a cut. And when I tie it, it stays with this screen. So it's tied to this super source, right? Because that's what I'm tying it to. So once I tie it to that and I change, you can see the logo goes away. Same thing happens now if I cut back to my main camera. So normally I tie it to this view. So how I'm going to fix that? I'm just going to untie it. I'm going to turn it on. Okay. And now I'm going to tie it again. And now when I cut back to this view, there's no logo behind me. If I want that logo on, I'm just going to reach up here and turn it on. See, it's right here. So I can tie these 4 keys, right, to an input. So that means I have 4 keys that I can tie to those inputs. So let's say I always want me, right, and another image on the screen, then I can tie it that way. So you can tie them to super source. You can tie them to the media player background. So let's say you just want a still image up there, but you want to pop your logo on and off, or a note saying that I turned on, you must subscribe in order to comment. That I could use that, and I could be popping that on in my intro. I usually create those intro videos and put all that stuff on there. So real quickly, that's how you use Freddy 2 HyperDecks, even though I'm not illustrating 2 pieces of video, but you're typically going to play the stinger, and then let me get channel 2 should be ready. So let's just play the stinger and cut. Play stinger. And I'm just simply cutting behind it. And you can see that I don't have my logo on. So now it's tied to this view. So if I cut away from it, the stinger is going to go away. So when you have 2 HyperDecks, you can do motion video, motion graphics over another video. So if you had a really cool animated background that you're using in SuperSource, you also want to use that with your DVE. You could have that HyperDeck always playing that video, just looping it. And then you could throw an animated graphic on top of it. And if you had more HyperDecks, you can do more graphics. So let's say I had an interview with Adam Tao on video and I had another guest. I could have Adam Tao's video play on the screen. I could have another guest on the screen live. I could have me on the screen live. And then down below that with another hyperdeck, right? I could play another video. Like let's say I put a video together of a quick little demo of what Adam was talking about for him. I could bring that up. That would take 2 hyperdecks, or I could play video from my PC and bring in my desktop. And I have my desktop on the screen. That's how you guys are seeing my software. I just have it set up in SuperSource so that you can see me and you can see it. And when I cut to me and my desktop, which I have a macro for that, then now you see me and whatever I put on my desktop. So I had DaVinci Resolve here earlier. It's just my desktop. And I could bring a guest to my desktop as well. I could play a video through a media player. I could use OBS and play a video full screen right here. And I've used OBS before for a camera. In fact, I have my, let me switch back to it. I have my Skycam on tonight. So let me cut to this. I created this in OBS, so you'll like this. Let's cut to it. Where are you? That would be camera 3 now. So there I am. Now that's my face cam. It's a little bright. I didn't get a chance to set it up tonight, but I just wanted to show you. I created this. Let's turn the graphic off. This is why you would have it follow. So I should have cut like this. Let me cut back. I should turn this on and then tie it. And now I'll cut back to that image. And now you can see studio desk cam below. This is a picture that I took. That's me standing there on the right-hand side. And it just rained and I stopped in this spot and took some pictures, put my camera on the ground, set the timer and took a bunch of shots. But this is one way that you can see me in the studio. And again, you can bring those in. I'm using my desktop from my PC. I have that all set up in OBS because it's a web camera coming in as a USB input in my PC. And then I make that full screen in OBS. And I can show you guys how I do that. Let's see, can I? Yeah, I can. Let me see how I can do that real quick. How can I do that? That is my desktop. So let's just switch back to that. Let me go here. Sorry about the camera angle, guys. Minimize this. And let me shrink down OBS. So now I've closed it, and that's just my desktop that you guys are seeing on the screen. So I can now drag OBS over there. But the way I have this set up tonight is it's a really tiny SuperSource screen. So I guess I could fix that. Let me try this real quick. Drag this back. Let me full screen this. Let's go full screen. Cut back to camera 2. Actually, it's a little complicated to do that, and I'll tell you why. The way I set up screen sharing for OBS is I can send it directly. It recognizes my BenQ monitor because I have my PC as one of the inputs in the BenQ monitor. So I can bring it to the BenQ monitor and it goes up into a tiny multi-view window. I think I can show you my multi-view window here. Multi-view. Where are you? I don't use these hardly anymore. PC or multi-view right here. So let me switch back to that. So here's my multi-view. Switch it all the way. And so that third box below, or actually right below the countdown clock, the streaming, quality, that is that small, tiny screen. And when I switch that, you won't see it because I have to switch back to my PC. And when I do that, you lose that. And it'll eventually go back to my desktop. And then I have to full screen again, OBS, to get that webcam to come back in. So one of these nights I'll do a demo of just OBS and how you bring in an input from a webcam, then you make it the program out, and then you go full screen. And then you share that full screen on your desktop. And I do the same thing when I'm in a Zoom call. I can bring the guest that I'm talking to full screen, and then I can assign it through my extreme ISO outputs, my HDMI 2 out. I can assign just the desktop. And so this camera, instead of seeing the program like it is right now, I can see whatever is on my desktop on this monitor, which is great because then I could be talking directly to the person that's in Zoom. Now, if I had a regular monitor that goes over your lens, so you can, I can't think what they are right now. I want to say a teleprompter, but in reality, what is it? Guys, put it in the chat. I can't think of that tonight. But in reality, then I'd be looking right into the lens. Instead, I'm looking just a couple inches above it. And so if you see my eyes go up, and actually I like the light in my eyes better from the key light if I'm looking up at my monitor, because there's less shadow and my glasses glare less if I'm looking down at the monitor. Either way, you just lose my eyes if I look down at the camera. So again, that's why it's kind of important to get a monitor that sits as close to your camera as it can if you're going to watch it in the chat. So let's go through here, see what I'm missing. Oria from Kevin makes one that gets you good reviews, 4x4 matrix, 4K with downscaler, 444 HDR, and I'll check into that. I've seen this one before, so I may go that route. I don't know that I need 4 in and 4 out. I may just need 2, 4 in and 2 out. And I know that Ori makes one of those as well. And I bought 4 in and 1 out for underneath my desk. And I've had good experience with that. But I will say that I had issues with one input, and I can't remember what that was. I think it was this monitor right here. So I had to take it through a splitter to this monitor before it went to that. So I'm only using 3 of those inputs, and then I'm sending those out 3 different ways. Actually, it was 1 in and 4 out. So one of them was going to come to this monitor, and this monitor, which is an MSI modern monitor, would not read it. So I had to literally go in to a splitter. One goes as the input into that 1 in, 4 out, and then the other half of that splitter goes into this monitor. So I had to split it before I split it 4 ways, so hopefully if I do get anything else, it will work. I don't know why the MSI had a hard time reading that HDMI input. So that was a comment from Kevin. Let's go back up here. I talked about Freddie's question. Hey, Kevin Crawley, I've been looking at the Ori 4x4 for quite some time. Over the past year, the price has doubled. Sorry, I didn't pull the trigger. Yeah, I saw price increases on some of their stuff as well, and I think it's because they were pretty competitive, and now people seem to be buying their stuff for venues. And I actually installed a long-distance cat cable version of there's one of their splitters, so you can come out of the back of it, cat cable, and go through walls going up to 150 feet, and then coming out with a little receiver, cat in, HDMI out, and it works great. And you can even send audio over it if you want to, which is what one of the venues I did an install for is using to get TVs live in the building, even 170 feet away. And they make different versions for different links. So if you are going to do that, you can literally run HDMI through cat cable, then convert it out in a venue, and it's just way easier to get long runs with cat cable. But again, these are not fast switchers. It's not like I can switch on the fly just like this. It's nothing like that. It doesn't have those nice transitions. It's very much like when I hit my buttons, you see black screens and flickering because they're not designed to be these high-end quick cuts. And that's what's nice. You can cut in an ATEM, or you can do a nice auto transition, and either way works. So I can cut still on the front of mine, or I can do a nice smooth auto transition, and I can set the time of the auto transition. And we might as well show you how to do that real quick, being I'm set up. So let me go back to my macros, find my software here. Who knows where my macros are now? There they are. if you have macros open in a separate window, so if you move your control software and you don't move your macros, they're on a different monitor. So keep that in mind. Tip from Livestream. So let me go me and my desktop again. You're going to see I dragged my macros over here. I'm going to drag them back away so you're not looking at those. And so inside here, you have the ability to go in and set up. Man, I completely, totally lost my train of thought. So I'm going to have to wait 7 seconds for you to tell me what I was about to demo. Been a long day. I apologize. So I love the control software. There's lots of things that you can do in it. I love to be able to have macros, and I'm also experiencing or using the stuff by Mix Effects, because you can actually save the position of the screen. So everything that's on, I can save, or just what's in Super Source through using Mix Effects when you're building a macro, which is a great feature. So can't remember exactly what I was talking about. I know we were talking about the 4 inputs and 4 out. I may get this month, Kevin says. Still seems like a good value, and that's the Ori, probably 4 in and 4 out. 5D Mark III, time to drink. Yeah, well, I do need to get that app and see if I can get that puppy to stay on, but I only cut to it for a few seconds to show the stinger. But 5D Mark III times out. Lots of cameras do time out, so if you're going to buy a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, even a fixed-end camera that doesn't have an eyepiece and are just LCD screens that were mirrorless all along, make sure it has a clean HDMI out and make sure it doesn't time out. Some of them will time out on battery. Some of them you can tether to a USB and keep them powered on. Some of them you have to buy a dummy battery, but some of them, even if you have it powered through USB-C or powered through a dummy battery, they still will time out after X amount of time. So keep that in mind. Some of them, even if you put a bigger disc in them and you have a disc in it, certain type discs will disable that timeout feature, and it's kind of a trick. But I was told last week there is software that you can use to fix the 5D Mark III, so I still need to test that out. So conjoined technology, how do I stay relaxed in real life? That's a great question. Number one, building that Lego project with my son was great. It's something happened. I have a friend, when he goes to the mountains, he says he reboots. It reboots his brain. We sold RVs together. That's not what works for me. When it's nice out, which is more difficult for me in the wintertime, I love to sit on my porch. I spend hours on my porch, just on the back porch nowadays, because I have a beautiful view out there. In my old house where I had my recording studio, when I just needed to chill out, I would go out on the porch and just chill. That's kind of where I have those conversations with myself. And what I notice is if you find that place, I have the waterfall out back, and many of you maybe saw that segment or that live stream. The reason I put that waterfall back there is both my wife and I were trying to make the backyard, the back porch where I'm spending most of my time, tranquil, and having running water coming down rather than all the cars driving by, which is probably about, the highway is probably 500-600 yards away, maybe longer than that. The road behind my house is probably 200 yards away, 230 yards away. So rather than hearing those cars, I just wanted to have some noise in my backyard, and both my wife and I love running water. So those are things. In the studio, I like to do research that relaxes me. So if I'm really having a tough day, I'll go on, usually watch someone that's doing something I'm passionate about. So again, I watch Jeff Dunham occasionally. That's probably not where I go to relax, but I go there to laugh. But a lot of times I listen to music, so I'll turn music on my iPhone and again, sit on the back porch. A lot of times I'll take a drive because I work out of the house. So I'll just go. I used to, when I sold, I would go right from work to Walmart. And because I had extra money in those days to spend on whatever. And I usually would leave with a DVD back when DVDs were the thing, then Blu-rays. But then again, I just got bored with that. And so I would just go and see what's new, go into electronics, usually head right to electronics every time I go to Walmart, and just being in there after work before I got home. Usually pick something up before I went home. A lot of times my wife gave me the excuse. She knew that I needed to go to Walmart. So I'd say, hey, do you need anything on the way home? And she said, yeah, would you get me some chocolate? And it's just her nice way of saying, I want chocolate and I want you to feel like you can go chill. So I hope that answers that question. It's definitely not ventriloquism. It's definitely not trying to figure out how to render alpha channels in DaVinci Resolve when you don't know the software. Those things don't relax me, but there are things that help reboot my brain. And if you haven't, I recommend you find those places, especially if you're now working from home, live streaming from home, and you're at home all the time, or you're in a lockdown, then yeah, finding those places within that range that you can use to chill out. I love doing photography. It's one of my favorite things, and it's landscape photography. I would prefer to be out where there's not people and just taking landscapes. Occasionally there's people in my landscapes. I don't have to ask for permission to use their photograph and all that stuff if I'm just shooting vistas. So it's very low maintenance, and I love some of the photographs I've been able to come up with from that. So I hope that answers that question. Four degrees. Wow, that's really cold there. That's from Conjoined Technologies. Freddie, thanks. That must have been someone in chat. What page is Ratso on? There's no page that Ratso's on. And I'm at the limit of playlists. So I had to take a playlist down on my channel and in the main page and put up the post-show page. So FYI, you only have, I think, up to 7 that you can do when you go in to manage your page. And I do bring up the live streams and the coming live streams. And then after they're live, I take those down. And I'm just talking about the playlists. There's just single playlists, what's coming up and what's live. And then I drag those to the bottom and I bring up whatever I think is the playlist that should be first when people come to my channel. I pull those up. So there is no Ratso playlist now. And again, I'm not probably going to focus on ventriloquism in the channel, but I do want people to be able to hear that part of my world in the post show. And that's why we're doing a post show, so I can talk about those things and not feel like I'm boring people that came for my regular tech live stream. So for what it's worth, thanks, Freddie. Please hit the likes. Please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber and listening in tonight, you can chat if you do subscribe after 5 minutes, and then you'll be able to chat in every other live coming up because you've subscribed. Help me break 1,000. I appreciate it. Thanks for that, Freddie. Follow up. What inspires you? What inspires me? Well, that's a great question. Inspires me. You mean, are you saying like me getting inspiration from other things or people? Meeting people that are passionate about the same things and have the same likes, that inspires me because I don't feel like I'm on an island by myself. I get inspiration from my faith. And again, you know, not to get into that in this post show, but I do have faith. And that obviously translates into my faith in people, my faith in God, my faith in technology, even though it doesn't always do what you want it to. I've seen that in people. So that inspires me, and meeting people and relationships inspire me because I believe without any question that relationships are for a purpose and that you don't meet people by accident. So I rarely ever write people off. That doesn't mean that you don't have to set boundaries and limits in relationships because all of us have priorities in our life that have to come first. You know, basically it's job, your relationship with your family, your relationship with God, if you have one, your relationship with people in your inner circle that are helping you accomplish things, building teams and all that stuff. So I guess discipling people, mentoring people, discipleship being more hands-on where you take someone, you walk through, you show them how to do anything. You know, you could call it a mentor, you could call it discipleship, you could call it Padawans. You go from a Padawan to a Jedi Master. It's that concept that inspires me. I love helping bring people along. And it's, again, why I do this channel. I decided to focus on this channel specifically because I was having such a struggle finding good material out there on some of the black magic stuff like the hyperdeck. And now there's lots of videos on the hyperdeck, but there was a time where there was very little. I saw some from John Barker, a little bit from Aaron Parecki, and a number of other people out there that are great and have great channels. So again, inspiration is an interesting thing. That's what encourages us, and my wife inspires me. Her midwifery that she does, her podcast inspires me. Sitting there and listening to her and her assistant share about birth, share about moms, share about families, share about how to have healthy lives going in and out of birth, all of that, even though that's not my passion. It's just fascinating to me, and it inspires me watching them grow their relationship. And that's a executive produced podcast that I do for my wife that's on her. It's under Shannon Bennett. So if you typed in Shannon Bennett, Bennett, 2 N's in Shannon in the middle and then a 1 in the end, and then more about birth, it will pop up on YouTube and you can watch some of those videos. So that inspires me. My kids inspire me as they're growing up and they accomplish things. That's inspirational to me, like my son and college and all of that. He graduated from one school. He's still trying to finish up his degree and he's taking a break right now, but that inspires me. There's lots of things that are inspiration for me. But I would say most of all, it's those close relationships. I consider I have one this way with God, and I know that I have these that go side to side, and that's inspirational to me. And then, when I was a kid, it was Batman and Robin inspired me and made me want to defend people. And and other superheroes over time inspired me. And I'm a bigger fan of those earlier superheroes than I am so much of some of the darker superheroes these days, though I understand why that's popular. So, okay, stop and think. Have you ever watched audio for content providers hosted by Brian Miller? He focuses on quality audio for podcasters and videos. I think I did stumble across his videos a while back. I try to avoid audio as much as I can because I'm trying to focus on the video side of it. Don't let me make you think at all it's not important, because obviously video, audio, and lighting are huge, right? If you don't have the right light, you can't get a good photograph or a good picture, and you need to control your light. And so you can do all kinds of things with light. I'm very passionate about that, even though this lighting setup in here is not as high tech as I would be if I was shooting a promo video for you or whatever. Because I have lights to do all that. And then we're going to get really, really intricate on what we're trying to do. So lighting is very important. I've done recording, mastering, engineering, so lots of time in audio, but I haven't really spent a lot of time on Brian's channel. There's some great guys that I've listened to for years, even some professional mastering engineers that had audio channels, but a lot of that time, that's on the make an album side of it or live audio. This new audio that we need for live streaming has changed the game for a lot of venues. Now they need to mix the live separate from the live venue. So live for an audience on social media or wherever is different, or in a recording is different than what you hear in a room. And so that is very, very important. So I just spent a lot of my research time on the video side. I need to get over there and check Brian out, and I will. That's why the chat replay, so I can find this. So thank you for the great answer. Wow, great answer on inspiration. And where RV? I worked for Blue Dog RV, and the owner worked with me. He was my general manager at a company called Rustine Family RV Center. They were a Ford dealer and an RV dealer. Took trade-ins of RVs in the early years and eventually realized there was good money in it. And so they branched out to sell used RVs and then new RVs. And I went to work for them back in 2001. And I sold lots of the last 20 years. I would say 17, probably and a half. I was full-time, usually 70 hours a week or more selling RVs. And he started his own company called Blue Dog RV, based out of Post Falls. It's now been purchased by a new company. It's still called Blue Dog RV, but it's now owned by a bigger company, and he has sold it to them and has retired. We're good friends still, and can't wait to go down and see him because he's in warm weather I'll just tell you that much. And I have an open invitation to go there. So he sold that dealership. I was his content manager for 2.5 of the last 5 years. And then another 8 months, I went back on the floor selling RVs because I started in sales. I wanted to end in sales. And that's where I get my content management experience. I did live streaming on Facebook and YouTube occasionally for the company. And that's where I got my passion for live streaming. And I did most of my live streams right from my older cell phone. This is the new 13 Pro that I just picked up this last week. And so I'm learning to use it. And it's very hot right now because it's still in video mode with Filmic Pro open. So let me go back and see if I missed anything else. Again, where would be right here in the dealership that I worked at was both in Kennewick and Pasco in the state of Washington. Post Falls is up north. I'm not far from where I'm going to be tomorrow, which I am going to go have some dinner with some friends that live up there. So again, that's that dealership. The dealership's also got a store in Pennsylvania now. It's got a couple stores in California, a number of stores in Oregon, a number of stores still in Washington. And so quite a lot of growth when that all started as an idea right here in my local area, and then got launched up in Post Falls, and he grew it to a huge organization and then sold it. And now he has all the resources that he'll ever need. And I got to be a part of that at 2 levels. Back when he was my general manager at a different dealership, and then got to work for him later on. We've always been friends over the years. So again, no relationship that is brought into your life is for no reason. That greatest value we can have in life isn't money, isn't things, isn't stuff, it's people. And there are some people that have less value than other people in our worlds, and I get that. And there's some people that we really need that need help, because they're destroying other people's value and valuable things and all that. And I get all that, but I still believe with all my heart that people are one of the greatest assets that we have. And relationships with people, the closer they get, are not easy, but they're important to have so that you can create and do things together, because you're better together than you are apart. And again, when was the last time you watched a football game where one person could win the whole game without all the other players? And we hear about certain players, right? But we forget sometimes that it's a team around them. If you don't block well, you're probably not going to run for a touchdown. So quarterback can throw the ball all day long, but there's not someone there to catch it, and if they don't block for him. So teams and people, all of those things are important, and occasionally people will be in the spotlight, and I'm perfectly fine with that, even here on social media. And obviously tonight in this live stream, the camera is on me. Let's cut back to this. The camera is on me, so I'm the focus, but you guys are just as much, in my opinion, the focus. In fact, my focus isn't on me. My focus is on you, and that's what I think is important about relationships. So it is 20 after 6 o'clock, and my wife is gone, actually out of birth, and I have duty for dinner. I have duty for taking care of the dog, my dog Zoe, because Ratso scared her earlier today. Again, Zoe's been around, and she's never been around Ratso before, because I've never had the 2 of them in the same room, and that happened today, and she literally freaked out. And so I had to take her next door. So I need to go pick her up and get dinner started. But here's the deal. Thank you so much. I wanted to get your input on what you'd like to see on the show. If you want more Q&A, if you want more demos like the Web Presenter Pro, and I have some feedback, but if there's something specific that you would love to see in the post show, right? Obviously, I'll answer the questions unless they become too private. I'm cool with that. If it has to do with something I think is relative to everybody else in the live stream, and let me know if some of these questions that I've been answering the last 2 weeks, you've enjoyed finding out more about the behind the scenes. And again, I can't wait to do that behind the scenes look in the video after 1,000 subscribers, and also show you my setup in the garage, which needs to be cleaned up. So that will probably be more in the springtime, because we've got a lot of stuff in there. The boxes for the decorations and all that just sit in there. But when I get it cleaned up, I can go in there and do photography, green screen work. I can do lots of cool stuff in that garage. It's a 3-bay garage, and I take up 2 whole bays, sometimes kick all the cars out when I'm doing a shoot in there. So fun to do that work. You can look at the video here with my son, Nathan, when I talked about green screen techniques, and because that was shot in the garage, and there's some behind the scene footage of the garage in that video. And I'll put a link below. And if I forget, please let me know in the comments to this video that I forgot to put a link to that video with my son, Bryson. I think it's in last week's video, so check that out. Yeah, video without audio is surveillance. I agree with that. That came from Kevin Crawley, and it is. It's just, you know, my wife says that video or life should have a soundtrack. And so all the movies do. So it'd be nice to have our own soundtrack playing. So, you know, you can think of a soundtrack right now that might inspire you, because music is inspirational as well. Oh, what page is Ratso on? He crashed. He fell asleep under there. So I think his face is on. No, the book is closed. And he's sound asleep. So it's, you know, it's getting late. And, you know, a rat's got to live too. So anyway, we'll make sure he reads the whole book, because he and I are going to talk about it. Trust me. More Ratso, more inspiration. Okay, well, we'll do more Ratso for sure in the post show. I made that commitment. He's going to be my co-host once in a while. So cool. More Ratso from Tony Quick. Man, I should just do like the ventriloquist hour on the show, but I think I'd lose a lot of my other live streamers. But that's the feedback I'm looking for. So in no way think that I don't value it, because I do value it. And it's inspirational. I just want you to know, your guys' push on this channel got Ratso out of his case. So he loves it. So it's just stretching me again to use those skills when you haven't used them for a while. I'm not going to name any other more skills, because you guys are going to make me do it on my live stream post show. So I'm going to kind of mum's the word on some of those other things. Photography, videography. We know about RVs. We know about ventriloquism, podcasting. I got to be quiet on some of these other things. So I know one of you now are going to ask that question. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. My lips are going to move, but there's going to be no sound coming out. So if you start asking me about some of my other behind the scenes talents. Now, again, I'll share some of those things. You guys know that I worked with a guy to build a waterfall out back, or really a big fountain, looks like a waterfall. So I built a do-it-yourself case for my MC lights. So yeah, more Ratso. I like the co-hosting idea. Yeah, I really would like to have someone like Adam co-host the show, or maybe one of you guys co-host the show. So if you're open to that, I don't have a problem with that, putting you up on the screen to co-host with me. Obviously, it's going to need to be someone I have an existing relationship with, or create one. And I have that with Tony now. I have that with Freddie. And I'm looking forward to having that relationship with more people that have been here for a while. I would just say this: hang out for a while. Let's make sure that you click with my personality, and that if we were to start communicating back and forth, that we've got some common ground, some things in common, because I would find great value in that connection. Again, my time is limited, so I may not be able to answer every email right away, but I try to answer the comments. And again, I don't want to stop doing that even after I hit 1,000 subscribers. So FYI, and I may do some other private groups. We'll see. May even do a paid private group where I invite people in to learn how to be a ventriloquist. Who knows? We'll see what the future holds. I can tell you this, and I'm going to close with this, right? No, I can't. I've tried many times, but every time I do that, and it's embarrassing, but I have friends that can. It pays to be a ventriloquist. I can do stuff like that. I can even throw my voice. You want to hear me throw my voice? Hey, Ratso, would you wake up? Hey. Ow. What do you mean, ow?
Oh, it hurts.
Well, it's okay. It's just a little tap on the side there. I do that to my kids all the time.
Yeah, but I'm very gentle.
Oh, you're gentle. Okay, well, we'll just leave you down there then. I won't bother you. Are you asleep?
Yeah.
Why'd you fall asleep?
That book is boring.
Oh, the book? Oh, it's boring. Well, with that, I want to say goodnight. I'm, again, heading up to a venue tomorrow. I'm very excited to be out of the studio and out actually in a venue again. It's been since springtime where I actually was able to do any kind of help and install. I do consult with some other people, and I've actually have a local venue that I attend that I do some consulting with, just volunteer, and I love that. Again, I do a free consult, so if you're thinking about maybe having a relationship with me more as a mentor, if you needed that, and you think there's stuff that I could help you with, I do 1 hour free consult, so we can talk about that. I'll help you for free for that 1 hour consult. You just have to go to my website, again, lifejourneyproductions.com, and sign up for that and say, hey, Keith, I'd like to talk with you, and we'll schedule a Zoom. Obviously, I would need an email. That's why I'm sending you to my contact page. And then in that 1 hour, we'll talk. I have a monthly program where I provide 3 hours of help, and another one that's 6 hours of help. It's not that expensive. And if you look around, it's probably less expensive than most other places because I have a passion to do it. But I also want to make sure that we're solving the problems. And if there's not an investment from you, a lot of times, I've had people hire me, and then I call them and they're asking me questions about gear that's not even on or open in front of them. And the best way to solve those problems is be in the room, have everything fired up so that we can cut right to the chase and solve those problems. And I'm fine with that. Sometimes they got to go with their phone on Zoom to another room, fire a bunch of stuff up. It's just their time that they're losing. So keep that in mind. If you do sign up with me, I'd like to solve some problems and get things fixed and running for you. So again, help me by helping me find a way from DaVinci Resolve to render an alpha channel graphic, a video alpha channel graphic, and use it in the HyperDeck. If you have any solutions for that, I'd love to hear about it. You can also reach out to me via the site and start an email group, and let me know if you'd like to have Adam Tao as a co-host to one of the post shows, or you'd like to be a part of it. That would be great to know. So awesome. Well, your live streams feel short, Kevin said. Like getting to know you as well, like the inspiration. We will have more questions after your diagram. Have you thought about building a portable case? Yeah, I actually have thought about building a portable case, but I'm not really doing any portable live streaming as of yet. I think I'd like to do that. It's in I have kind of a pie chart. I'll talk about that of things I love doing. I'm trying to build my business around that. There's plenty of other people that love doing the things that I don't love to do, and I only cross those lines when I have no choice. And I'm happy to use those skills. It's just not my passion. So, live streaming venues would be fun. Like I had a gal that got someone canceled on her that was going to do her wedding. So I drove over to the rehearsal, showed them how to use their smartphone. They were familiar with Google GoToMeetings. So I showed them how to do a Google GoToMeeting privately with a bunch of people in their family. And those people saw that live wedding. And I actually loaned them a stand for their phone because they didn't have one. And Joby makes a really cool phone adapter. I usually have one here, but they're in my drawer. And so I grab those from like Best Buy, hook it to my phone, screw it into a light stand because they're cheaper than most of the tripods. And then that gave them a mobile stand for their phone. He used his Bluetooth. It was an Apple phone. He used his Bluetooth earbuds with a microphone on it, stuck it in his pocket, and that was the microphone that they used for their live stream to all these personal friends. I didn't have access to it. Only the people out there had access to it, but we got a chance to meet to get the stand back, and he told me it went amazing, and that was exciting for me to save the day. So if I had a portable setup, that's what I'd be using it for. When people found out that I know how to do that, called me at the last minute, and have that kit all ready to go with maybe a wireless Go 2 or something in there. So I have a couple microphones that we can throw together really quickly and put on a groom and the minister to capture everything going up there. By the way, guys, most lapel microphones are bi-directional. So when you have a bride and groom standing right there, you just locate that lapel, you get a little bit more outdoor sound. So the environment, but you can get the bride and the groom. And if you position it right, you can get that triangle as well. It's no different than like a conference microphone on the desk. So I would just tell you that you could use your Bluetooth set. You could also use a bidirectional lapel microphone, or you could literally just take a wireless Go 2 and pin it down further, like on the guy's jacket, and get it down so that it's equal distance from her mouth and his mouth, or as close as you can get. And that's the way you can get away with using one microphone. And it's actually easier to mix later as long as the two people's voices are at the same audio level. Obviously, if you can, buy a wireless Go 2 set, put a lapel mic on two of the people, or buy two sets. And then you have to have a mixer to get all that into your live stream. And that's why having something that you can bring two wireless microphones into and then into a camera and get both of those people is really great. And there's a lot of things like that coming out these days. And so check that out. I don't own a wireless Go 2 or a wireless Go. I do have a DJI mobile and an action camera, and I have other wireless kits, but not those wireless Go kits from Rode, even though I'm a huge Rode fan and I use the Rodecaster Pro here in my studio. So, well, that's it, guys. Lots of more chats coming in. I got nothing left. Let me take a drink here real quick. Tour is coming up soon. That'll be fun. It's going to be a couple hours, maybe longer, because I'm going to take you through all of the studio. I'm planning on probably using my mobile phone gimbal so I can walk around. I'm going to mic my phone so that you guys can hear me, and we'll be able to test the latency. It really doesn't matter if it got me on the phone and I'm bringing it into the live stream with audio. It doesn't matter if there's a delay or not, because that's going to be the primary camera when I do the tour. And we're going to use a mobile gimbal. I have the older DJI one. It's like 2 models back. So anyway, yeah, I don't do wedding live streaming, just that one, but it is a great business, and funerals and weddings. A lot of times there's venues that rent out, but they don't do live streaming. So if you are interested in that kind of work, find like a wedding venue somewhere that would hire you. A lot of times they hire out the sound. Now they're hiring out the live streaming, and not every sound tech does live streaming, and not every videographer offers live streaming as well. And so you could fit in that niche. And if you want to make money that way, there's some really good money that you can make in doing that. You could also do other live streams. Like there's a lot of businesses that do like training events, and they may want you to come in and record those events for them or stream those events. And they're not doing it right now. You either go there to that location, or you don't get to hear the event. So you could just go and approach businesses that are growing really fast. So there's lots of ways, if that's your passion, to go out and earn money. My passion is in videography, helping small businesses, helping venues move into the live streaming video world. And then obviously that involves lighting and audio and all of these type equipments that we're using in studio. You can also use in venues, and that's where my passion is. And that's what I've been building Life Journey Production Studios around, and mentoring other people that want to know how to do it. That's my passion as well. So, okay, I'm sure there's gonna be more comments coming in after the delay, but I wanna thank you guys so much for being a part of the live stream. We're gonna wrap it up. I never hit record, never hit ISO recording. I forgot tonight. So whatever is on YouTube stays on YouTube. What happens on YouTube stays on YouTube. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am going to say goodnight. Ratso says goodnight. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the 2 live streams. Those of you that were on both or just this one. And if you're watching later, thank you. Please subscribe and join the growth of the channel. And the faster we get to 1,000, the faster we can do that live stream behind the scenes. Stay tuned next week for that graph on how everything is hooked up in my studio. And I promise you it will be pretty with pictures. So until then, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. And I would just say this as I'm looking for my outro for post-show: stay inspired and learn ventriloquism while you learn all of these other things at the same time. Until next time, see you then.